Hello. I'm 2 minutes late today. I've been on time every single day, but today I'm 2 minutes late because your girl was having tech issues, but that's okay. That's okay. We're here. So, welcome, sis. Welcome into today's stream of the clock out. And we are talking about the FAFO fund, the art of building the FAFO fund. Okay. Because sometimes your employer has to mess around and find out. And jokingly, I talked about who's going to check you. Who is realistically going to check you when you have a FAFO fund? So that is what we are talking about today. And I'm specifically talking about my journey from honestly, truly fully feeling that paycheck to paycheck life and moving into a place where I no longer feel financially strapped or stressed. And honestly, into a place where I do feel financially free, even having left my 9 to 5. So, we are going to talk about how to build your FAFO fund and unlock this energy of feeling really abundant and secure in yourself financially without a paycheck from your employer. Okay. So, welcome in, say hello, and I am going to pull up fam on TikTok, even though I still have a lot of mixed feelings about TikTok, but until I figure those feelings out, we're going live on there. So let me get on in there, okay? Okay, let me see my fam on TikTok. How is the fam on? All right. Well, welcome in, everybody. We are going to dive right in. If you don't know me, my name is Mercedes Swan. I am the career love coach, and I get online to support Black women entering their Black women bliss era in a way that allows us to do meaningful work at work, in our careers, after work, in our businesses, and in our lifestyle, so that we're living a life that is truly aligned. Welcome in, Jazz. Welcome in, Ayache, I think. Shay. Okay, I don't know, but beautiful name either way. So let me know that you're here. So in the comments and let me know where you are listening or watching from is rather what I should say here. Okay, so if you're new, this is a clock out. It is a space that I create intentionally for Black women where I go live each day after work to really allow us to clock out of workplace stress and clock into community. Now on Martin Luther King Day, we may be struggling a little bit. Okay, we might be struggling a little bit. So I hope that you're able to kind of tune into this and maybe tune out of some of the you may be feeling or dealing with. Okay, so I'm glad that you're here. So as we go to this, tell me in the chat, or you can send me a message. Tell me if you feel that you have a financial place to fall, like some financial security. So whether that is a savings fund or emergency fund, however you want to share that, give me a yes if you feel like you have something that is a cushion for you, or let me know if you don't. Because again, I'm here telling you I've been there. I've been in both places, and it's okay. Come here as yourself and feeling as you are. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments in the chat. Okay. So I always like to start off with my story, right? And yes, I'm gonna tell you all about it, but I went from a place of not having any financial cushion to really be living, acting, breathing, whatever you want to call it, paycheck to paycheck. And I went from a place of in this really living in that paycheck to paycheck era, like all the way since I graduated from college, to being able in the last year pay off over $30,000 of debt, to have more than 6 months of emergency savings, and to feel like I truly reclaimed financial freedom for myself. And again, in a way that allowed me to do what I want to do and not feel tied to a paycheck. So I'll kind of start off from the beginning of my journey, if you will. Beginning of the journey. Thanks for the lives. Oh, thank you, cuteness, for liking the live. I appreciate you. Welcome in. Welcome. Yeah, we got the live stream back on TikTok, so we're going. Okay. So honestly, I launched my professional career with a huge amount of debt. I'm not just talking about a student loan debt. Like, of course, I absolutely had that. I did my bachelor's in psychology and my master's in management. And so obviously with those graduate credits, those are expensive. Okay. It is not cheap to go to graduate school, okay, to get a master's degree. And so I graduated with that. But one of the things that I did in my last year, because I really wanted to travel, I did not want to graduate without having without having an abroad experience. Like I had missed that experience in high school, and it was something that I really didn't want to miss when I went into when I graduated from college. So I did study abroad. I did get some scholarships. I did have like bright futures. I did have bright. Anyway, I was a combined student, so that might be why you're like bright futures. Whatever. Okay, so I did my master's, my bachelor's, and the same time that it would have taken for me to just do my bachelor's, which is all of that being said, like I went on this study abroad trip and I took on a lot of debt in that space, right? I did want to really enjoy that experience. I didn't think there was going to be another time in my life, truly in my life, that I will experience life that way, like studying abroad in Europe. And so I did all the experiences that I wanted to do. I did everything that I wanted. So I won't say that I regret it. Okay, I had a good time. But honestly, yeah. Okay, lots of debt. And also people like to say, okay, well, you took on all this debt or whatever, you didn't work for school. Like, yeah, I worked through Macy's. I worked at Macy's in retail, in the children's department, the juniors department, in the women's department. Okay. Oh, I know I'm freezing. I think it's TikTok, so I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what it looks like on YouTube. So I'm sorry I'm freezing on the clock app. Hopefully it looks better on TikTok. Yeah. If not, it's just my internet and there's not much I can do about it. So I'm sorry. Let me see if I'm okay on YouTube. Give me a minute. Let me see what YouTube looks like. Oh, no, YouTube looks just as bad. Lord have mercy. Now I can switch. I don't think it's going to be better. 1 second, y'all. I totally thought that was just TikTok being everything with TikTok. So let's see. Let's see if I can get a little bit better. 1 second. I'm going to continue my story. Just give me a minute. It's the pleasure of the stream. Okay. Internet. Okay, we'll try this. I'm back. Let's see if that's any better. Oopsies for your thanks for your patience. My technical difficulties. Oh, is that much likes? Thank you for your support. I'm checking this. Okay. Not sure what. It is not any better. All right. Well, I'm switching. Has it been? How long has it been now? Oh no. I think that is worse. Okay. Okay, I think I look a little bit better now. Okay, let's go with this one. Let's just go. Let's just go with this one. Lord have mercy. Hey, y'all. Thank you for your patience as I work through my technical issues. If you're still here, let me give me a hey girl, hey in the comments. Thank you, purpose minded woman. I love you. I really thought it was just TikTok playing with my life because TikTok quality has been terrible since it came back on live. Okay, so I was talking about the fact that I worked through Macy's, right? So I definitely had a part-time job. I worked in all these different departments, home. They had me everywhere, okay? That's what happens when you're one of those flex people that are working like 3 hours, right? Not getting your commission, everything else. So I definitely did work a lot. It's still freezing. It is what it is. Okay. But yeah, I definitely worked a lot all the way through my college career. But I think one of the things that was problematic, which I was telling you, like, I really wanted to live this experience, right? I didn't feel like I was going to have an opportunity to live or do what I wanted to do in that way. Wow. It's still really bad. Okay. I'm not really quite sure how to fix it. It's my country. Why? I think that kind of just is what it is, huh? All right. Well, I guess I'm just going through this as it is. We're not fixing it, I don't think. Okay. Well, I'm back. I think my face is back. Wow. Crazy story, yo. We're just gonna have to deal with this quality. I'm so sorry. We'll have to figure out what's going on. I assume it is my satellite Wi-Fi. I refuse to say that name, but however, um, internet is what it is. Okay, well, hello. Let's try this again. I'm just gonna start my story over again. We are talking about financial freedom if you just got here and how we all need a F around and find out fund for our employers. Woo! It looks better now. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was Restream having a hard time, but thanks for hanging out with me. Okay. All right. So I was saying that I launched my professional career in a lot of business and a lot of student debt, but also just other debt because I had gone into my career with both my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, which led me to have a lot of student debt. And then I also went on a study abroad trip, which ultimately led to me having a lot of a lot of debt coming out of that. So I was talking about how a lot of that mentality was based on a lot of what got me into that financial situation is to live life like the money will return but the opportunity will not. And I'm not going to sit here and say like that mentality didn't lead to me having a lot of really great experiences. Like I do not regret the money that I spent on studying abroad. I don't forget the money that I took to go on trips and other things like that allowed me to have a fulfilling life and in so many ways like enabled me to be the person that I am today. I absolutely say without a doubt that the things that I spent money on, particularly that study abroad, shifted and changed who I am as a person, having traveled outside of the United States, and was enmeshed in other cultures. And it is so I'm saying all this to say that, like, I do not have guilt. I do not have regret around it. I don't think if I went back that I would change anything. Because like I said, it has created who I am today, and I think we all should be able to fully enjoy life. That being said, as I was growing up, my priorities shifted and changed, and that ultimately changed how I use my money and how I decided to show up for that. And I will say, like, I did not sacrifice any of the things that I think were truly important to me. So we'll talk about that too. Um, so I think one of my biggest things that was a challenge for me, especially as coming into business as a business owner, coming into my professional career, was that I really honed in on the thought process of, like, increasing your income, but I did not hone in on the thought process of, setting savings. And so I like to say that I tore the R side of it. Okay. Like, I really did that. And like I said, on top of that, like, I was growing this business, right? So I was really thinking, like, okay, well, as long as I just keep investing in things, or I keep, purchasing these software, these programs, these, um, whatever frameworks, methodology. Like, I invested a lot of money in my business, and I always talk about how much money I spent on ads, okay, to try and grow my business, right? And ultimately, like, a lot of those challenges really held me back from the financial freedom had I made different decisions. So I would say that if I had a regret, it would definitely be all of the thousands of dollars that I really inappropriately invested in my business in the early days. But ultimately, again, I'm here where I am, right? I've grown, I've learned, and all of those things. So I would say, like, yes, I mean, I wasn't even saying like I was operating paycheck to paycheck. I was probably operating in a deficit, financial wise, until there was a critical moment in 2021 where I had a really hard time, where I had a really uncomfortable financial conversation with a loved one. It is that whole story is deeply triggering to me. I'm not ready to share that. Oh, thank you for the gifts. Oh, Allison, thank you. It's so sweet. Um, so I don't know why TikTok just tells me that people got a gifter badge now, but it doesn't show me the gifts. I don't know what's going on. That's fine. So thank you. I appreciate you. So I was gonna say that, like, that conversation was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm actually afraid of my finances. I won't look at my finances. I won't talk about my finances. And it's ultimately impacting how I show up and what I do, right? And having ownership of those finances, right? And so honestly, that conversation in 2021, which I have not yet, I'm not ready to have that conversation. I'm not ready to share that conversation with the world, right? But that was really, I think, a big conversation that really shifted how I decided to show up in my financial world. And then even though I had now been in that place of discomfort and really feeling like I got to fix this, I got to do something different. I cannot continue to live under this type of financial strain. It still wasn't until 2022 where I really feel like I got my finances into order. And I will say this, in the beginning of 2022, I was only able to put about $50 in a savings account. I went back and I, like, looked at different screenshots and things of, like, what I've been doing. I'm a screenshot girly, okay? I got screenshots of everything, right? Send it, save it, whatever. I don't know why. I got screenshots of everything. So I went back where I had a screenshot of my bank account where I was actually only putting in $50 into my savings per paycheck. Now, I told you about this thing that I had where I was, like, really focused on increasing income, right? So I was looking at increasing income in my business, at work. And so I was increasing income. So over that time in 2022, I was really able to hit a large emergency savings. So I say that to say, at the beginning of 2022, I was in a much different place than I was by the end of December 2022, where I had this really proud moment. It wasn't a proud moment because of what happened, but it was a proud moment because I said I finally feel like an adult financially. That's a wild thing for me to feel like. That was not so long ago, where I made that shift, right? And the shift was that my dog got bitten in the face by a rattlesnake. And I had to have him in an emergency vet for multiple days. It was truly Oh yeah, so LinkedIn user, I can't see you. I'm so sorry. It doesn't tell me. I'm sure based on this call, or based on the comment, you're probably somebody that I know on TikTok. Because I don't have TikTok anymore. Happy to be joining here though. Welcome on LinkedIn, okay? Because I understand. I'm not really sure I feel like trusting the clock app anymore. Okay, so welcome in on my LinkedIn, my LinkedIn friends. Love y'all. Um, okay, so in December 2022, my dog got bit in the face by a rattlesnake. I had to take him to the vet, the emergency vet. He had 3 days in a vet. He had vials of anti-venom. I don't know if you know how much those are. I really don't remember. I think it was like $100 a pop, and he had like 5 of those because he's a big boy. Okay, he's a 70-pound fluffy pit bull full of love, okay? But he needed he needed a lot of anti-venom, and that was a very expensive trip. I remember the conversation that I had, if I had to have that conversation in 2021 about not being able to afford that. um I did not have to have that conversation in 2022. I was able to just swipe a card, my debit card. No, I got the points. I swiped the credit card, but I paid it off. Okay. But it was just so, it was really this moment where I was like, wow, I can really be in charge of my finances. I can pay $2,000. I think it might be more than that. I don't know. It was like whatever. When they had that hold, okay, that hold was like $4,000. I said, okay, I love my baby. I got a lot of that back though. They didn't end up needing that much, but they charged more. But anyway, all I was saying is for me to be able to feel like I could handle a $4,000 emergency bill was big girl stuff for me. Okay, I felt so good. And so I'm saying that because I change a lot in a year. My finance changed a lot in a year. And even from then till now, right? That emergency savings and that financial cushion has continued to grow, will continue to grow, so much so that by October of 2024 last year, I was work optional in ways that I say, "Oh, thank you, Emil." Emil, I'm sorry, I think it's Emil, isn't it? So he says, "I'm here to support all the things positive involving Black women." Thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you. Welcome in. um, so I was really able to say in October 2024, I hit this big financial goal where I was not tied to a paycheck. I was not tied to anyone else needing to support me financially. I was in a place where I could really live in my Black woman bliss era, right? And in 2024, January 2024 is when I set out to do that, by the end of the year. And so it was really empowering for me to see that happen faster. And like I said, I did pay off $30,000 of debt. I decreased a lot of my expenses. I was really strategic in how I was evaluating what to pay off when, what are the returns versus the risks of paying things off, how do I have that cushion, and like I said, had at this point and continue to grow that, a 6-month emergency savings, right? And I'm even more impressed by myself. I mean, I'm not gonna hype myself up, okay? I'm not afraid to hype myself up. Even more so, I love that I was also in a place where, like, in my business, like, even if I were not to be profitable in my business, now I'm profitable now right now, so it's very unlikely that would happen. But if for something were to happen, if I even hit like break even numbers for lifestyle and business, I would be able to go a year without saying I need to return to some employer, right? Like, I feel so free in being able to do that. And if you don't know that, yes, I did quit my job in December 2024 to work in my business full time. I feel like that's the ultimate freedom of getting to show up and be whoever I want every day when I wake up in my business and what I do. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that will be like, well, business isn't it for everyone? No, business is not for everyone. Okay. I'm a career coach. I strongly believe that business, it takes the most out of you, right? But what I'm saying is there are different strategies that I use, and you can take some of those today, whether you want to be in business or you want to be in your career, to take control of your finances. Okay. Oh, I just felt like a little finance coachy. Okay. I'm sorry. My bad. Let me back that up. But yeah, so have any of you been in a story like that? You were like, oh my gosh, like, I know we don't talk about finances. Me and my mom have a podcast coming out where we're talking about that, where, like, for many of, well, my mom's not a Black American. She immigrated from Bermuda. But talk about like in the Black community, a lot of times finances are just not spoken about, particularly from parents to children or and in that line, right? And so I think it's important that I'm not saying to put your business out there, but just be comfortable talking about your finances, right? I talked about that traumatic conversation that I had where I was like, I got to do something about this, right? Oh, thank you, Cassie. Cassie said, dropping all the gems. I am. I'm trying, Cassie. Love y'all out there. Thank you, Cassie, for joining. But I'm just saying here that I think if we're able to be more transparent about our finances and not in the way that we see kind of like these really sketchy business owners that are like, I made all of this money. I don't mean that. I just mean that I think by talking about it, being comfortable being in the discomfort of what our finances is, like I think we can do a lot better as a community. Okay, so I'm talking about strategies now. So I'm telling you what I did. This is my disclaimer. I am not your financial planner. I'm not your financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Okay. And I also want to say, like, in this journey, like I told you how I was making these really big shifts in a quick period of time. I'm being transparent, right? I'm dual income, no kids. I was having a funny laugh with my mom where I said, I'm dink. And she's like, what's a dink? Which it sounds a little derogatory. Dink sounds derogatory, right? But I am dual income, no kids with my fiance, right? We got 2 dogs. They are expensive enough. I ain't trying to have none of those kids running around. Okay, no, they're expensive. And so what I'm trying to say is that do not my mom's laughing on TikTok in the comments. Do not allow like my progress or my growth to be the reason that you don't get started because you don't see that it's attainable. I don't want you to sit and be like, how am I supposed to save this amount of money or this amount of whatever? Because the truth is that I was better advantage because I don't have kids and because I have relatively low bills, and I was able to do that because I'm living with a partner that is also has a high level of income, right? So please breathe. Okay. Take what you can and take what you can apply. And thank you, Cassie, who said like I'm doing so good. The Black community needs to talk about it, especially being entrepreneurs. Yes, because I can tell you that this journey, me feeling where I am in my career, it was a very scary, very transparent, very hard, transparent journey that I had to have with myself. But my entrepreneurial journey absolutely allowed me to save and pay off and do a lot of the things that I was doing while still attempting, right, to not increase my income. Like, right, you have that lifestyle creep, not doing that. But I'm just saying that, like, absolutely entrepreneurship and whatever way it looks like to you could be different. But for me, that really helped me. Okay. All right. I'm going to go into what I did. Okay. Not your financial planner. Telling you my story. Okay. So what I did first was a money audit. I told you about that really uncomfortable conversation I had in 2021. And that is because I would be scared to open my bank account. I would be scared to swipe every time I swiped the card. That fear in me was, of course, like we all have our money stories. Like we have stories that we tell ourselves about whether or not we're good with money, whether or not we can make the amount of money that we want, whether we can have a successful business. We tell ourselves a lot of things about what's possible for us from every standpoint, but particularly financial. And the story that I had always told myself is that I don't do well with making decisions around how I invest my money in particularly big purchases, right? So I talk about like some of the I've talked about this on my podcast with my mom about how a lot of my bad financial mindset was around well, I feel like it was traumatic at the time where I worked at Macy's all summer. I had saved up enough money to buy my car. Family member helped me out with a portion of that car to be able to afford to buy that car. And I was relying on another family member to help me with basically just my like deposit, which was in comparison a very low amount of money to kind of help me to have a very low security deposit on my apartment. That family member did not do what they were supposed to do for me to be secure in my housing. Since I had already had that conversation before purchasing my car. You can probably hear me get like a little emotional about it because it does sting still to this day. But that being said, like, I went into that experience where I felt like I was really supposed to enjoy that experience, and I went into a place where I said, if I make big purchases, I will be financially insecure, and if I spend money in a certain way or invest money in a certain way, I will be financially insecure. And because of that, it led me to, instead of being active in my finances and what was going on, it instead led me to just be afraid of them, always being afraid to talk about money or rely on others for money, or just expect that money will be there. Like, it, lots of crazy money mindset things, right? And so I say all that to say that, like, we have reasons that we feel that how we feel about our money, right? And why we can't look at it, or why we don't feel comfortable talking to others, or why we don't trust other people talking about money, right? And so I'm saying that, like, please, like, love yourself through that. Please feel okay saying it's uncomfortable. Like I said, I'm telling you that story because it's, like, deeply emotionally damaging to me. You gotta be thinking, like, what is the other story that you're telling, this one and not the other one, girl? Okay. But what I'm saying is like, we have this, what, however you want to call it, harm, unhealed trauma about money. And so we have to be okay processing through that and wondering and asking ourselves, why do we do what we do? How do we show up for ourselves financially based on what we have learned? Reading some of the comments really quick. Cassie said, went from making six figures in 6 months in business to zero. Limiting beliefs are real. We have to keep going and keep building. We be willing to start over, rebuild, and progress. Yes, like, I feel like going into business full time for the first time in January, that feeling is always there for me. Like, oh my gosh, like, I worked to get all of this, and, like, to work to get the business to where it is. Like, I could totally flop right now. It's absolutely a fear. It's a big fear that we all have. And, like, also one of the other pieces of that is thinking, like, well, I did it before, I can do it again, right? And how do we diversify? How do we make a strategic plan but not let it limit us? Oh, limiting beliefs, that will get you. Okay. And then there's another comment that says, Black women entrepreneurs are the fastest growing demographic in the US, but they face significant financial challenges when they try to grow or expand their business. They don't have the same financial support, coaching, mentorship, or investment that other communities have. And I think that's absolutely true. And I think it's a challenge, right? Because a lot, at least the Black women that work with that work with me on their career, the business, a lot of times they are seeking out this business because of the challenges that we face in the workplace, right? We don't feel like it's equitable. We don't feel like we're being treated right. We don't feel like we're paid well. And a lot of us, it's not even just because, like, from a, like, self-righteous standpoint of saying, like, I'm better than this, I'm not going to be here. Like, some people are in business today that wouldn't want to be in business, but it's how they have to be in business because they can't be paid, right? And it's very much the side hustles, the freelancers, the this and that, things that are getting done outside of the 9 to 5, out of, like, necessity, not because of desire. And I feel like we make a lot of decisions, and that's the whole point of this live, talking about how you can make decisions that you want to, because you have the financial freedom to do that, based on, instead of making decisions out of lack or limiting beliefs or feeling that you cannot, right? It is truly an unapologetic stance to say that I'm going to be a business owner, because I want to, because of my passion, because of my purpose. Like, that is as a privilege, of course, but it is just something that I want more Black women to feel, like, doing what you want because you want to and because you can. So all of that. Oh, y'all are going in the comments. I can't keep up. So thank you. Yes. So we have lots of people. Another Black women do because, okay. Business. Okay, we're gonna come back to this doing business with each other stuff, because I have been really hot about all of the fan base stuff lately. I'm gonna make a note. If I don't say something, remind me to talk about this fan base stuff, because I feel like that's a whole thing for me right now, where I was just like, you know what, I am not gonna crash out on TikTok about this fan base thing right now. I'm gonna come back. Okay, so let me hide this comment. So let me keep talking. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the strategies and the things that I did. And then I'm going to talk. Y'all are eating it up over on LinkedIn. I love y'all for that. Okay. Usually it's TikTok that's unhinged, and y'all over LinkedIn are going in. Okay. Let me take a sip of coffee. Okay. So what is the first thing that I did in that traumatic 2021 conversation? I did a money audit. I had always been somebody that had all of my stuff sync with like mint.com, and well, mint.com is no more, right? I have a different software that I'm using to track like net worth and spending and all these other things, just to kind of see, investments, all those types of things. Like my money, I know where my money is. I know where it's going. I know how much is where. That is not something that I knew when I started this journey. I did not have a good understanding of like how I was leveraging money each way. How was my money growing? What was my return rate? Did I have it in the right savings account? Where I was spending things that I should or should not have been spending them. Like there was none of that. And so if you take nothing from this, and especially if you're in a really precarious place right now, I would say your first thing is to understand where your money is, where it is going, how it's working or not working for you. And a couple of things, like take that and decide like what is the action based on that audit, right? So I knew based on my audits, right, I need to increase my income. There are certainly ways that I could reduce my spending. And then I set targets for myself for my debt. I will go find an amortization calculator. Okay. I will go find one. I will go find an investment calculator. I will go find one. They are free. You do not have to pay for a software. Now, like I said, the softwares that I'm going to talk about, 2 of them that I use, but like you do not have to use softwares to do this. Before I was using some of these other ones, I actually had a whole financial planner in Notion. Notion is boo. Notion is bae. Go find you a Notion, download you a free template, okay? Because Notion base is free. There are plenty of free templates out there. You can get control of your like finances and do an audit right now, right? Okay. Okay, so what I would say in that is like I recognize that there were a lot of, so I had a very low margin between how much I was spending each month to how much I was earning each month, right? So yes, I increased income. I tried to do that through business. I was interviewing and advocating for higher pay, right? So a part of this is that, are we asking for what we deserve income wise? How are we leveraging that, right? Where are we spending our money? Is there ways to reduce spending, right? So one of the things that I did like right off the bat, especially as I was trying to get my credit card debt under order, I did a debt consolidation loan. When I was in a place where I was able to get a better interest rate on that debt consolidation loan, I did it again and I integrated it. And that helped me focus to not feel like I was trying to focus on where to pay, what's the highest interest rate, whatever. In some places I paid more interest, in some places I paid less. But ultimately it was able to get me focused, right? So again, I had a target, like I'm paying off this amount of debt. So I told you last year I paid off $30,000 of debt, and all of it was on this loan, right? Because I knew that's what I needed to get rid of for me to make my exit. And again, focusing on multiple streams of income, right? So a lot of us are in a place where like, oh, wow, if we lost our job today or something went wrong in our business today, there would not be other streams of income that we have coming in. Now, for me, absolutely, I definitely want to be focusing on, yes, I love Notion. Okay, Notion is not all finances. Okay, we'll do maybe a Notion live. Actually, I'm doing a live on my job search planner later this week, so y'all will see my Notion a little bit. Hey, Cherry Blossom, welcome into the live. It's good to see you, girl. Okay. Woo. I go a whole weekend not doing lives, now I can't speak. But y'all got me fired up. Okay, y'all got me fired up in the comments, and I blame y'all. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for the comments. Okay, so that's what I did, right? I really focused on certain things that was going to help me. But if I never did that audit, I would not be able to have a focus. Okay. The second thing is I automated some things. Thanks for the likes. Hello, Queen. So I automated some things, right? So if you are somebody that really doesn't have self-control, it's okay. I'm somebody that buys things like to help me feel better. Like I was absolutely that. Like I'm not feeling good, go out shopping, blah blah blah. That is totally not me today. Like I totally like removed that as like a habit that I had. But honestly, having those automations helped me to know what I was spending where, and to not overspend in a particular area, right? So if you have not heard, there is this topic called profit first. Profit First is primarily for business, but there is a personal version of Profit First. So your girl has for business 6 bank accounts, and she has for personal 6 bank accounts. I know you might be like, you said you were trying to make it simple and all in one place. So I made sure that I went to bank accounts that I would be able to have that many bank accounts, and to be able to automatically move things, right? So every time I got paid in my business, every Friday, certain money goes to my owner's account for owner's compensation, because I'm still LLC. I don't have like a paycheck right now for my business. I'm an LLC. And so essentially money that comes in is allocated to operating expenses, profit, cushion, taxes, and then taxes, savings, and then the amount for me. So that happens automatically every single time based on percentages. Now, this is what I organized in. Yes, Profit First. Okay, Cassie. Cassie also does Profit First. Go ahead. More of us need to do Profit First. But you can Profit First for yourself, right? So you remember, that rule where it's like, oh, make sure to pay yourself first, pay your savings first, profit first for yourself, right? So essentially, whether it was money that was coming in from my business or it was money coming in from my 9 to 5, it would hit one account. And then every other week when I would get paid, there would be an automation that this much goes to spending, this much goes to the account where I pay my bills and I pay my debt out of. This goes to long-term savings. This goes to cushion savings. And then, so there was long-term savings and cushion savings and retirement savings. So I had all of those. I'm not saying you have to do all of those. I'm just saying those are what work for me. And so that really worked. And so having it where you don't have to think about it, where you don't have the self-control or whatever. Now, I can't say that I had a month where I didn't spend too much or whatever. I mean, I also have months where I spent less and then that got moved over to cushion. But sometimes I would have to pull money out of that cushion account or out of that. And I do not touch, I do not touch the retirement account. But sometimes I would have to go to the emergency savings account, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, right? So I would go and I would tap into there and I would make a goal. I would change those automations to refill it at a higher rate, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can set this up for me, but that was the first goal. After I did that audit and I did that, it was good. And then I was able to better like manage it over time. Yes, it is financial discipline. It is also breaking financial habits too. Sorry, Cassie said all of this points right back to having financial discipline. And I think it's also having good habits. And I also think this is part of like that identity and mindset work, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm somebody who has a savings, right? I'm somebody who's financially free. What would somebody who's financially free do with this money? Right? And it's not go buy some stuff. Okay. And so I would have ways of gamification, which now we're kind of talking about it. So I'll talk about that next. But like saying you're not going to go spend things is not fun. So what is a way that you can gamify some things for you, right? So one of the things that I did is at beginning of last year, I had a no spend challenge, right? My goal was that 70% of my days I spent nothing. That did not just mean for like so it didn't include things that were like necessities, like bills or like groceries or whatever, but it just meant if there was something that was not a pre-planned expense, that 70% of my days in 2024 were not spent, were no spend days, right? And so that kind of got fun. It was a little bit of a competition between me and my fiance. It was incredibly successful for us because we're a little like some competition. We like things to make it fun, but also there were some goals in that, right? So I remember when we were having this conversation where I was setting it up, and I was like, oh, I have these goals that I have for social media and fitness, and there was another goal, social media, fitness, and something else. I don't remember what it was. Oopsies. And I set a goal. I would buy something to kind of keep me motivated through that period of time. So that I could do that, right? And when I say that, that's a way of gamifying things. So if you're going to say, oh, if I save $500, I can buy this. It's like, well, if you would have not saved that $500, like, like reward yourself, honor yourself, still and allow yourself to enjoy life. I don't mean to come at this from a place of lack. I mean, but to make progress and to set goals that are reasonable, that don't feel like punishment, right? So it is financial discipline, but it is also having a mindset shift so that this is over time, right? It's kind of like that same thing about like, oh, well, people who go on a diet gain weight. I don't know what the statistics are of that. I'm just saying the like general thought. people go on a diet, they gain all that weight back, right? Because it wasn't a shift. They were just operating out of like a place of lack, scarcity, and control or discipline when they hadn't really like taken on that new identity as themselves and how they like show up, right? Like, who am I? What kind of person am I? And what would they do? That's all I'm saying. Okay. So gamify things. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of a tool. It's a tool, but I also feel like it's a mindset. The tool is YNAB, which is you need a budget. So when Mint.com shut down, I think at the end of 2023, or maybe they were kind of doing that, but I was setting all these goals, right? And so essentially I needed a new software to do this. I found two softwares, Monarch Money and You Need a Budget, right? And they were actually I'm paying for both of them, but like for two different reasons. So Monarch Money, I'm using that to track all of like my assets, all of all of my accounts, all of those kind of things in one place, so I can have a bird's eye view of what's going on with my money. It also does investment tracking, so you can see your rate of return and everything like that. I love that. You can see what targets you have and like how much it's increasing. So it very much feels fun to get in there. And then You Need a Budget is more of like budgeting, like day to day. Like Monarch Money has a budgeting thing. It's just not the way that it is. Just wasn't designed for my brain. You might love it, right? Do one software. But I love You Need a Budget because anytime I budgeted, I would be budgeting based on forecasts, like what's coming. Like, okay, next week I'll have my paycheck. After that, I'll have another paycheck. And so I'm planning for all of these expenses for money that I don't yet have. We know this economy, we know what is going on. It means that we are not guaranteed that money, right? So how are we making decisions based on what we have now, what we have today? And that's the difference between You Need a Budget, right? It takes what you have currently in your account, it helps you track them, and it allows you to kind of put them into buckets. It lets you set targets. So one of my favorite things that has shifted since You Need a Budget is that, like, essentially I know every single year I have, my registration or whatever, how much ever it is. So now instead of like, oh, in October, I got to pay my registration. And I know it's not really that much money in the grand scheme of things, but like, I would be so upset. Like, I don't want to pay this. It's my birthday. Like, it would make me so upset. For that. So I used to really hate that. And so now I have You Need a Budget. The money is just already allocated across the year. So I'm only putting like $2 in it. And then when it comes up, like, I don't actually care because it was already allocated anyway. Like, it kind of, I don't know, it just feels better. And so it helps you kind of not have those emergency things that we don't think are emergency things, but they just like come up, but they come up all the time. It's like, it's not an emergency. You got to plan for that, but you just didn't have it planned out, right? And so that's what I love. So all of my accounts, all of my bills, I have that allocated each month. And so when you talk about that 6-month planning period, right, it allowed me when I left, right, my job, to be able to say, okay, here's all of these savings that I have. Here's my savings amount. Here's my last paycheck and how I want to allocate them, or I could allocate it out for a period of time, right? So now I have already allocated out all of my bills for 4 months and You Need a Budget. So I can just know that the money's there, allocated. I don't have to worry about it, and I really know what is here. Okay, so I have a question. So does it connect to your brokerage account? Which brokerage do you recommend for long-term and short-term investment? So I'm not recommending anything, but I'm like telling you what I use. So the ones that I use, so Monarch does connect to your brokerage accounts. It will have all of your investments there. It'll tell you which account it's in, and then it will tell you like what your rate of return is for whatever period of time you select. So absolutely, Monarch does do that. I was looking for more of like a robust platform that would allow me to kind of just be more intentional with that, and I have not been successful at finding something like that. That's not for like people who are actually like managing people's funds, like, like a certified person. And then for the long-term and short-term investments, so I use Robinhood and I use Charles Schwab for those. Yeah. Okay. I need to do this to reduce because, wait, what? Oh, reduce. Oh. Oh, yeah. Plan them out, right? Because it's painful. If you plan it out throughout the year, it's not painful. Okay. Your girl has a call at 7. I always do this to myself. I get talking, but I was having all these technical difficulties. I had made this a shorter live because I was like, oh my gosh, like I have a call. I will be good this time. And I had all those technical difficulties. So thanks for rocking with me. TikTok looks great now. Okay. So the last thing that I would do that I'm talking about is exit planning, right? So I talked about like, right, what is the purpose of this whole life, right? Yes, it is about financial literacy. Yes, it is talking about what I have done, but it is absolutely talking about exit planning. It is talking about having a FAFO fund. What I hate the most is that black women get on my call and they are like in a state of disarray. Mental health challenges, physical health challenges, all of the challenges that they face, and they feel stuck in their career. They feel stuck at that job. And they kind of have to deal with it because they have to be able to afford their lifestyles, and they just don't feel like there's an option. And I feel like that's the real power in this, right? Because one thing, right? If you are in a job that's truly impacting your mental health, and we also know what this job market looks like, where it takes really a minimum of 3 months. Sometimes people are dealing with a job search that is 6 months. I get on LinkedIn every single day and I see people that have 12 plus months job searches in this market. So when I say that we need a cushion and we say that we need time, like there is a possibility that we're going to need that. I know that this is an obvious thing, right? But I'm saying like this is where we are, where it's really hard. Like I would be able to say like, oh, okay, well, if I quit my job, it's fine. I'll just move to another one pretty quickly. I'm skilled. I know this and da da da. It is not like that, even for people who have a perfect track record in their careers, right? People, not just people who we would quote unquote call like unhireable, right? Like, and that's a lot in that. But all I'm saying is like we are really in this space where we need to be able to have that, right? And so what I would say from the purpose of this is for you to have that stability, but it's also the purpose for you to be able to leave, right? To truly allow your employer to F around and find out, right? The power that I feel in not having, and how I showed up to work before I decided to move to my full-time adventures, full-time entrepreneurial ventures, was so empowering because I just really didn't care. It didn't mean that I didn't show up, because again, one thing about me, if y'all don't know this yet, I truly do want to exude black excellence in everything that I do, not because of them, but because of me. Okay. And so because of that, it didn't mean that I showed up less than. It doesn't mean that I quiet quit. I mean, I could have quiet quit. It didn't mean that, but it meant that I was going to be able to show up unapologetically, to stand up for the things that I wanted to stand up for, to say the things that I needed to say, and to be the person that I need to be to others. And if you think about being in human resources, being in diversity, equity, inclusion, if you feel that you have a tie to the employer in that way, it's really hard to come back from that. It's really hard to come back from that. Okay, so what I will say is like, now that by the way, there is a podcast coming out with my mom where we're going into this in greater detail. So some of the things that I shared today, I share in greater detail with her on that call. Thank you for showing up for this live, mommy. She's over there. My podcast with my mom is called the Chasing 100 Club. Chasing 100 Club. It is all about chasing our 100 biggest goals. And like I said, one of the biggest goals that I was chasing was financial freedom, and is still, right? Chasing financial freedom, and for the ultimate goal of chasing financial independence. So we talk about financial independence in that session, in that episode. It is not out yet, but if you go subscribe, go listen to some of our other podcasts, you'll make sure to get it when it goes live so you can learn a little bit more. And as we wrap up today, I want to ask you, what are you going to do after this call? What is one thing that you took from this that you are going to do next? Yes, you can be thoughtful, right? I want you to be thoughtful, but I want action, okay? Action, embodied action of who I want to be, right? Yes, you don't have to wait. Well, you'll have to wait for the episode, but the podcast is already out there, Cassie. The podcast is a Chasing 100 Club. Y'all can go subscribe right now so you get the episode. Okay. So before I wrap this up in 5 minutes before my call, is that I want to share like the lessons and what I'm teaching you today, I am teaching you step by step in my Career Love community. So your girl just mapped out the entire process that I took, right? The idea of getting clear about what it is that I want to do, my purpose, how to monetize that gift, how to do that gift at work. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. How to live into my gift at work and pursue my purpose at work, like authentically. How to build a FAFO fund so that I can leave whenever I wanted to, how to build my business outside of my 9 to 5 and to scale it today and what I'm working on. So I'm actually sharing for the people who are already in the community. I'm actually sharing like what I'm doing behind the scenes with them. And so that's been really cool. But that being said, I am launching my Career Love community in February. I've already got the webinar dates. They're going to be going out soon, but I do want you to join me for that. So if this content is interesting to you, if you believe that you should be a Black woman who is in charge of her finances, is living in her Black woman bliss era, has a career that you love, has a business that is thriving and supports you, all of these things, and you want to join and learn more about what I'm doing, I want you to join me for this launch party. So I'm always pick the wrong hand. This thing over here, it's a mirroring. This thing in the corner, there's a QR code to join me for the launch party. Okay, you can scan this QR code. I never know where it is. You see the code. Okay, the code is up there. You can scan that code, or you can go to my website, mercedeswan.com, to sign up for my launch party. I will also put another QR code here, so that it's just a little bit easier to see. But again, if you want to join me for the party, learn a little bit more about my journey, learn what I've done, join me in this true like sisterhood. Like the ladies in my group so far are just so like really lovely humans. And I'm excited about building this and like helping them grow and to learn and like be in this safe space for us, by us, that's going to help us grow. So if you want to join the launch party using this QR code, go to my profile, go to the link in my bio, wherever you want to go. I don't care where you go. If you're on YouTube, it's linked in the profile. If you're on LinkedIn, like it should be there, but if it's not, just like you can reach out, whatever. And on TikTok, it is in my profile, and you can go to the link, and then there will be a place to register there for it. Okay. All of that being said, I love y'all. I am not getting to that conversation about fan base. I got 2 minutes to say that, but the honest part, my honest sentiments and feelings is that a lot of times we hold a really high standard for other Black-owned businesses, and we choose not to work with them based on that. But we should be choosing to work with Black-owned. I'm not saying to work with people who aren't going to deliver their services or work, but or do the work that you've asked them to do. I'm not talking about the scam. I know we see scams out there, like, okay, we see them. But what I'm saying is that we don't have the same resources, so we can't expect what that is to look like that, right? And that was my issue with fan base, about everybody saying, like, oh, I'm not going to fan base because they're so glitchy. I'm not going to fan base because it's not the vibe. Is it not the vibe because we're not investing in it, we're not supporting it, we're not creating content there? Or is it not the vibe because they don't have the resources, right? So that's what I'm saying in this. So anyway, I'm just saying that yes, we can support each other, we can support other Black-owned businesses. It doesn't mean we can't support others, but I think at the very least we should not be supporting people who don't support us. Okay, I love y'all. Bye. Leave me more comments. I will see you tomorrow. Jay, if you're on, I'll see you in a minute. All right. Yes, Cassie. So Cassie, I got you, girl. I will send you a message. Yeah, so I try and link them in the comments, but it doesn't always like it. So I'll do it later because the social media accounts get upset about all this type of stuff. Oh, thank you. You're so thank you. I don't know who you are because it just tells me that you're a LinkedIn user. But thank you so much for coming and engaging in the conversation. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good evening. And I will see you tomorrow at 6:00. I don't remember what we're talking about tomorrow. I think we are talking about job seeking. I don't know. Okay.